Instructed by God, Elijah went and found Elisha in order to prepare him for ministry, to come alongside him, to be his disciple. I mentioned before that really disciple means like an apprentice. And it's interesting that, yes, the 12 were disciples, but then disciple was the common word to describe followers of Jesus. The word Christian only appears 3 times in the New Testament. The word disciple 25 times in the book of Acts. We know that they're called disciples in the Gospels, but the Christians were actually not called Christians. They were called disciples. They gathered the disciples, the group of disciples. And so a Christian is strictly someone discipled by Jesus. He's not a churchgoer. He's not vaguely Christian. He's a disciple. And we find with Elijah and Elisha, there is a relationship. Elijah goes to Elisha. We're told he throws his mantle over him. It's a kind of invitation to come under his sphere, under his wing. And we're told he made a very radical commitment. He dealt with what was occupying his life and became one who was with Elijah all the time for an overlap period of some years. And it's fascinating to see how discipling was made. Now, we need to understand that in the Jewish culture, planning for the future was a very significant feature. So the importance of parents teaching their children their history, their identity, their worldview, their destiny, these were huge things. So that when, for instance, they celebrated the Passover, the children were meant to ask certain questions. What does this mean? What does this mean? And in the telling of the story of the Passover, they were passing on to their children this wonderful awareness of why we're on the planet. And when you become a follower of Jesus, you've got a whole new world to understand. For myself, coming out of a very non-Christian background with a totally different worldview to my now Christian worldview, I needed to be taught a completely new evaluation of life. So discipling is hugely important. As we said before, Jesus said, go and make disciples. And they went and planted churches. But we must understand the church is not a gathering of people vaguely Christian, but a body of people being discipled. And that doesn't happen casually. That comes with a real sense of purpose that we have. Sometimes we call them discipling groups. But we need to ask, are we discipling, or is it just a little gathering? Is it just a kind of, tea and a chat and with the Bible, maybe even? But is that intentional preparation? Are we preparing fresh leaders? Leaders who themselves can make disciples. As it says in Hebrews, you've become dull. Beloved, as we go through this season of not being able to gather in big meetings, hey, it's a great time not to grow dull. But by now you should be teaching. It means you should yourself be discipling others. But you need to be discipled yourself first. Ephesians chapter 4 says that the Lord Jesus ascended on high and he gave some apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors and teachers to equip the saints for work of ministry. You need to be equipped. You need to be taught how to do it. It's no good just saying, well, just go and do it. Do what? There needs to be a training and equipping, a discipleship culture in the church that continually is taking place. I want to keep looking at this, such an important theme. I don't want us to become nominal. We're meant to be disciples of Jesus. You being discipled to be like Jesus? Let me encourage you. Let's go for this with all our heart, especially in this season when we can't gather in big meetings, but we can do some discipling.